everyone. Welcome back to another iX3 event, where the I stands for insight, inspiration, and impact. Because when we have an insight, it inspires us to act, which then creates the impact, which is what WSA and WSA winners in the community is all about, creating positive impact through digital technology. And I'm especially thrilled today to be joined by three amazing female entrepreneurs who are doing just that across the world, making impact and including more females into further amplifying and growing the impact. So it's a especially interesting iX3 space today because we have also representatives from 3 different continents. Which I think is super, super important for us to also understand and to be aware of. We understand our own local, context very well. And we live in a global world with so much technology, so much information really kind of pushed to us all the time. But do we really stop to understand and to live or like to realize how people in different cultures, in different continents, are experiencing this global connected world? Do they live and breathe the same reality, the same challenges, the same successes as we are? And that's why I'm especially thrilled to have representatives from 3 different continents and 3 different cultures talking about the same subject, the inclusion and opportunities for females. So it's really wonderful that we're having this space right now. Then the world really needs more female empowerment and more females building and creating great things. So I will remind you a little bit about the format of the iX3 events. We will have 3 speakers sharing their stories for roughly 10 minutes each, followed by a Q&A and a chat panel discussion, if you wish, where we dive deeper into the stories of how the projects were born, what are the realities of that local context, and what's the impact and what's the next steps, potentially with some learnings for everybody who is interested and who is watching to get inspired to create impact. So without further ado, I would like to ask Trinidad from Laboratoria. Today, we're going counterclockwise around the world. So all the way from Chile. We would love to welcome Trinidad on stage to share the story of Laboratoria and how you are including females in the job market, upskilling, and really, delivering amazing impact. So floor is yours. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Aleta. I will share my screen now to share my presentation. And okay. Hi, my name is Trinidad. As Aleta said, I'm Chilean, and today I want to talk about the importance of diversity. We can observe diversity everywhere in the natural world. A diverse ecosystem is what enables it to thrive. When we think about our society, we see many, many, many different cultures and traditions. We are incredibly diverse, but we often forget to honor that diversity. For example, in designing our modern world, we overlook the importance of considering everyone's needs. Take women, for example. For centuries, we have been confined to the private sphere. Men had led in business and politics, setting most of the norms and rules that shape our societies today. The world of technological innovation is no different. Although some of the first pioneers in computing were women in the 60s and 70s, by the 80s, as technology became more critical for business, women were sadly pushed out, so we didn't feel included. Women have been left out of so much more than just technology, but tech is not just another sector. It is the field that will define our future, and it's already changing how we communicate, how we live, how we work. It's what we're experiencing right now of me like talking to you through technology. And it will continue transforming every aspect of our lives. Although it has been challenging for women to enter the tech space, we have seen many, many examples of what can go wrong when we are not involved. Women and minorities are often excluded from building technology. For instance, many smartphones and handheld devices are designed to better suit an average male hand size. Similarly, many office buildings set their temperature based on a thermal comfort model from the 60s, which is based on the metabolic rate of an average male. And more seriously, artificial intelligence, HR systems are often filtering out female candidates, considering male candidates to be a better fit. Even health applications have not considered menstrual factors in the calculation, which is crazy to think since 50% of human population live by these cycles every day. But the importance and value of women in tech has not been that obvious since the beginning. That's why I want to tell you a story about Mariana. And like many women, including myself, she didn't major in a technology field. However, she met her husband, a software developer, and they both shared a passion for entrepreneurship. They decided to start their own company in Lima, Peru. And in her own words, it's easier said than done, as they had little idea how to begin. So in 2013, along with their friend Rodolfo, they created a software development company and began to do quite well because the tech sector was growing and they were getting more and more clients until they couldn't handle it by themselves. So when they started building this own software development team, a big problem arose. Only few qualified developers lived in Lima, and every company wanted them. So they managed to build their dream team, as you can see here, but something was missing. So where are all the women? Mariana was surprised at how rare women developers were. So she started digging deeper and exploring communities and immersing herself in the software world. And the pattern repeats: skilled developers, but all men. It's not that women don't like tech or aren't interested in technology or we aren't good at math and science. We are very capable and actually very amazing at it. But the issue is this field is built on stereotypes. And these stereotypes make it very difficult for us to feel included in such communities. That's when Mariana decided to take matters into her own hands. She realized it made no sense for half of the world population to miss out in a field of amazing opportunity. So great jobs, high pay, and the chance to design technologies that shape our lives and futures. The world of software is a word for passionate self-learners, where a university degree isn't the only path to success. So can you think of a field with more potential for inclusion? This realization led to the birth of Laboratoria. Mariana turned her insight into life-changing opportunities for women. The software company shifted from selling websites to companies to building an organization that builds and search talented women seeking for better opportunity. They designed a rigorous 6-month program where students not only learn coding or JavaScript, but also learn actually how to work together, how to trust each other, and very importantly, how to believe in themselves. By the end, these women became outstanding developers and designers. We're still amazed by the talent and strength of our first graduates. And this is a little spoiler, the 3,900 women who have since gone through Laboratoria. But going back then, with effort, they reach out to companies to show them this incredible talent, to show that these are the developers needed to build better teams and better products. And this also sparked a movement in Latin America, forever changing the tech sector. Companies now want to build diverse and inclusive teams where everybody has the chance to thrive. This movement also has inspired thousands of women to believe that they can become technology creators and actually go out there and make it happen. This year, Laboratoria celebrates 10 years of transforming the life of women in Latin America. We are now present in 11 countries across the region and have impacted more than 3,900 women. And I want to share some stories of different women, such as Sofia. She's a young woman from Mexico City, worked with her family running a stall at the street market. She described this setting as a place where we follow the rules of the street, similar to the rules of the jungle, a place where words rarely get you anywhere, a place of unpleasant experience, and a place of violence. At Laboratoria, Sofia not only discovered a passion for programming, but also found a way to change her life and her family's life. Since then, she has thrived in multiple jobs, including working remotely for companies of the US. And today she serves as an ambassador for Women in Voice and works as a conversational AI designer. But there is also Pamela from Brazil, who decided to transition her career from being a yoga teacher, despite all the barriers. And in her own words, she said, I believe transitioning careers is never easy, especially when you're a woman, when you're over 30, when you're from the outskirts, and when you're Black. But now she's thriving working for Bradesco, one of the largest banks in the country and the region. And this is not just one or two stories. Fiorella used to study at a public university, but at 19, after becoming a mom, she needed to leave her studies. After Laboratoria, she joined Globant as a programmer. And I want to share with you some of the words that she said that I think shows like the power of diversity in tech. She shared with us that the opportunity to connect and learn from people from various backgrounds broadens projects' perspectives and increases product quality. So she said also, I firmly believe that technology has the power to transform the world and people's lives. Laboratoria's graduates are duplicating the salaries they received going through our program. But more importantly, they are part of a change. They are reducing the gender gap and proving themselves that they can do it. So technology is becoming more and more relevant in our daily life. We use it for everything, to communicate, to shop, to study, to learn, to work. And this world needs women to be part of these changes, not to be left aside. We need to be there to shape our future. More women designing, analyzing, and building technology is what will make our society thrive. And I have no doubt that we'll also build a better future for all of us. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Trinidad. This is amazing. And, at the very beginning, when you were telling about, world design for males, I remember that I recently learned that even the medicine is tested on the male rats or like mice, right? And it's just crazy, really, to realize that and to think about it. So I'm super, super, excited. I got goosebumps hearing the stories about your impact and the impact that the females who go through your program actually are continue making. I would love to invite Kaja to the floor, and we will come back on, just discussing and looking at how the differences across the continents is shaping the world for females these days. Kaja, I think the floor is yours now.
Thank you so much, Odeta. I grew up in a small town in Poland. The town was about 15,000 inhabitants. And from a young age, I was quite independent. I always wanted to learn more about the world, and I yearned to be part of a community that shared these values and the outlook on the world with me. In primary school, I was quite active when it comes to school life, putting my hand up to be part of, class committees, be speaker, the end of school events, and so forth. But what I didn't know then, but what I know now, I was expanding my comfort zone. However, looking back, I know that my hand was often one of the few ones being raised in class when such opportunities came about. My peers, and especially girls, tended to be more quiet. And initially, the main opportunities that I could get involved with were more related to the academics. And as developmental and insightful they were, they didn't quite equip me with these essential skills I know I need and am using now in my current life, such as networking, communicating my ideas effectively, public speaking, or digital literacy. Fast forward a few years, I moved to a larger city to continue my education in a bilingual environment where my bubble burst. I was exposed to more open-mindedness and opportunities through youth projects and social campaigns led by the students themselves. And this ignited my desire to engage in more socially impactful projects. And around the same time, on the other side of the globe, another young Polish girl shared my passion for making a difference. That girl was Zofia Kierner, the founder and CEO of Girls Future Ready Foundation. And she began her activism journey when she was just 9 years old. At the age of 6, she moved from a small city in Poland to a completely new country, Finland, with her family. And not knowing any English, Zofia struggled to communicate with her peers at a school where English was the primary language of communication. But as resilient as Zofia was and is now, these challenges lit up the first bubble, the first light bulb in her journey of creating social impact. It made her realize just how important language is in connecting with others. And one summer, while she came back to Poland while she was studying in a Polish school, she realized that her peers in Poland lacked the confidence and the resources to learn English, that the resources that she experienced while living abroad. This personal experience, combined with kind of the style of teaching of English in Polish schools, which is very much focused on the grammar rather than speaking, motivated her to make a change. So she organized a book drive, collecting English books for a Polish school. Despite the continued no or wait until you're older she heard from her head teacher at school. And after months and months of continued asking and proposing her idea, she was able to collect and donate over 40,000 English books to schools, orphanages, and English hospital and children's hospitals in Poland over 9 years with the help of volunteers in the US and Poland. This equalized the educational opportunities and improved learning quality in even the most remote areas of Poland and small towns, such as the one I come from. And despite facing these challenges and skepticism due to a very young age, Zofia persevered, demonstrating that impactful work knows no age or background. And the joy on the children's faces that were receiving these books only fueled her determination to continue her social mission. And this mission to empower the youth, especially young girls and women from Central Eastern Europe, turned into the Girls Future Ready Foundation. When, a few years later, Zofia and her family moved to the United States, so another country, another cultural shock and realization emerged. The girls that Zofia encountered in the United States were naturally more stronger and more active and open in presenting their views, whether at school or beyond. And this difference, again, led her to reflect on the educational systems and the differences between them among countries, and most importantly, the importance of skills like public speaking, global mindset, entrepreneurship, and self-confidence in the development of powerful, self-confident, and future-ready girls. We know that despite women making over 60% of college graduates in Central Eastern Europe, they hold only 8% of CEO positions, and with many leading companies lacking any female executives. And these statistics are shocking, and especially when I see and look back at my friends from my hometown that are so capable of becoming leaders, but are lacking the confidence and the belief that they actually can. I myself, driven by the feeling of self-agency and realization that there was a significant gap in confidence among my peers compared to Western countries, sought out opportunities to study abroad, where I ended up in the UK on an educational scholarship. And I wanted to learn from an environment that encouraged that self-confidence and practical skill development, such as regular public speaking competitions, networking sessions, business courses. And I then wanted to take those skills and give back to my community back at home. And similarly to Zosia, I noticed how much more confident girls in my new school were, and I wondered why I wasn't seeing that back at home. And it was around this time, at the age of 17, that I discovered the Girls Future Ready Foundation, which provided me with truly immense support and opportunities through mentoring programs, workshops, and masterclasses. And the community helped me realize my potential and fueled my passion for even passing on these skills to others even more. I'd like to say that before joining the Girls Future Ready Foundation from behind the scenes, where I am now working as a program director of one of the flagship programs, I went through all the foundation's programs, and this really helped me gain a better understanding of just how important the mission of the foundation is. And the Girls Future Ready Foundation provides girls from Central Eastern Europe, aged 14 to 24, with skills required for the future, such as networking, digital literacy, public speaking, and the confidence to do so. And the emergence of the Girls Go Ready program, which is one of the flagship programs of the foundation, was based on the realization that the self-confidence of girls in Central Eastern Europe is significantly lower than self-confidence of girls in Western countries. We really want to take from our experiences, from Zosia's, from mine, and all the girls that work behind the scenes at the foundation, and help our beneficiaries, the girls that participate in our programs, develop these soft skills, but also, all the skills required for the future, so that they're stepping in it with more self-confidence. And seeing all the challenges in the current world and wanting to address these issues, the Girls Go Ready program emerged. What is the Girls Go Ready program that I'm talking about? The program connects, each year we connect girls from Central Eastern Europe, 200 girls from Central Eastern Europe with 100 native or fluent English speakers. And the girls work in mentor-mentee pairs for 6 months on monthly challenges on some of the most pressing global issues. We unite the girls from two sides of the world to open their eyes to the connectivity of tech, global mindset, and English skills. We partner with an organization called Master Match, which uses an AI-driven tool to match the girls into teams based on various criteria, such as their age, interests, English language speaking skills, and more. And this way, the girls form lifelong friendships from the very, very first meeting. Each of the monthly challenges equips girls in new skills. For instance, during one of the challenges, the girls researched the topic of universal human rights and their connection to sustainable consumption. Then they were able to present those ideas and their projects during international meetings and workshops and facilitate those workshops themselves. Again, in one of the other challenges, the girls recorded podcasts about access to education worldwide that discussed topics such as distribution of educational resources and differences in education system. And some teams not only recorded the podcast once, they went on to record episodes every month for 6 months, and they're still going strong. And I think what's most important for me is they themselves told us, I've always wanted to host a podcast, but I didn't know where to start, how to formulate my thoughts. I have important words to share, but I didn't know how to do it, who to record it with. So thank you. Thanks to Girls Go Ready, I was finally able to make my dream come true and gain the confidence to pursue my goal. And it's these stories that keep us going. Another challenge focused on celebrating women in business, and the girls created their own business plans and startup ideas, and now are working actively towards implementing those ideas into reality and opening their startups in the future. The Girls Maturity Foundation itself has supported over 80,000 girls worldwide so far, and the Girls Go Ready program over 1,200 girls worldwide who spent over 8,000 hours of English conversation free of charge, completely to build that confidence and that global mindset that they require for the future in the current world. So the foundation has made as well, coming from a small town from Central Eastern Europe, and on many girls. But being part of the WSA network as well, and being recognized as the European Young Innovator Champions last year in Graz in Austria, has been a crucial part of our journey. The connections that we established during the event and within the network invited more mentors from around the world to join our program, and at the same time helped us scale our initiative to other countries in Central Eastern Europe, such as the Czech Republic, Hungary, or Ukraine. However, as you all know, social impact, foundations, and working as a nonprofit don't come without its challenges, such as financial challenges or scaling our work even more, especially among the youth in the United States, so the other part of the world, has shown to be a challenge. But I wanted to end on a very positive note to share some tips that I learned along the way with you, either from the WSA community or from our program community as a whole. First one, definitely communicate with your beneficiaries. They know your programs inside out. They've been a part of them for such a long time, and they can often provide one of the most beneficial constructive criticism for you. Again, another tip is wake up and keep going. Sometimes you may be the person who believes in your initiative the most, who's the most passionate about it, and you truly know that you're making an impact. And through that resilience, perseverance, and the right people that will come along the way and help you scale your impact, despite all the voices that want to bring you down, you will manage to create and scale that impact even more and help more people gain that self-confidence, public speaking skills, networking skills, and more. And last, but definitely not least, my ask to all of you, the ask from our foundation. When you hear a young person say, I want to create my own initiative, I want to facilitate my workshop, I want to set my own business, listen. Don't judge and don't clip their wings by saying it's too early or you're too young. Perhaps they already have an idea in mind, a brilliant one that will completely, revolutionize how we perceive the world. You never know. Sit down and help them to create a business plan, and one made with colored pencils will particularly stand out. Thank you.
Thank you, Kaja. An amazing, inspiring story from completely different contexts and age group. Something that also witnessed quite recently, that, a gap that is widening is not only like gender inequality, but there is also so much differences in terms of age and like how different age groups are actually living and experiencing the world. So it's very interesting that you bring that perspective. And I remember that at the jury meeting for the, where we saw Girls Future Ready, I was inspired. And I was thinking that like, oh my God, actually, with programs like this, the younger generation females are so lucky to be living at the current time, because technology really helps to push the boundaries and to change the status quo. And what you guys are doing is just brilliant, really. So let's come back to that after we hear the third story of today from Lilit, all the way from Armenia, sorry. I remember talking to Lilit in Graz as well, and I'm really curious to hear, your story and how SafeU is evolving, and yeah, what's the latest? Over to you, Lilit.
Hello, everyone. It will be a bit hard to talk after Trinidad and Kaja. There's inspiring and well thought talks, but let me share what I have to share. So the subject of today's conversation is women in tech, and I don't know what associations all of you have with these words, but when I read the guidelines on how to prepare for this talk, the first association that came to my mind, interestingly, was my grandma. And I know she's miles away from the picture of a female founder of a tech startup or someone in Silicon Valley, but she was in reality a telephone operator. And here I will share my screen, just a second. Telephone operator who worked in 1970s in Soviet Armenia. And if you don't know what this looks like, the telephone operators had to do basically the work that smartphones are now doing. Now we have this joy of life. We pick up the smartphone and we call each other from anywhere in the world. But back then, you needed people like my grandma. This is not my grandma. This is just a random picture from internet to communicate. So while men in the leading positions were overwhelmed with their power and making decisions without women at the table, women in general, women were like bees of the world, and who were doing the most essential work, caregiving, and basically doing the pollination, so-called pollination. And you may be interested why I'm talking about this, why I'm bringing all these old pictures. Well, first of all, because I read the guidelines, as I said, and I'm trying to do some basic storytelling here, but also because my grandma was basically first person in my family to be in tech. And she was also the first user of desktop computers, thanks to her job back in 90s. And actually, she didn't have an easy life. And she, in a time and context where she lived, she had to struggle a lot before she would be allowed by her husband and her mother-in-law to work. And even if she was allowed to work after some struggle, she had basically to give up to sacrifice everything, to her health, her well-being. As apart from working in a full-time job, she was also working on a second shift at home, as she was the main caregiver of her extended family. And she is not a singular case. She represents millions of women back in the time and nowadays who have to struggle a lot to earn their place under the sun. And there are also women who don't even get the chance to live, let alone to thrive and to fulfill their dreams. The sad reality is that 1 in 3 women worldwide are experiencing some form of physical or sexual violence throughout their lifetime. Every day in the world, 137 women are killed. This equals approximately 50,000 women a year. And fast forward several decades, in 2019, my very close friend, Mariam, was managing a research project called Geeks Against Violence. And that's when she came up with the first prototype of SafeU application. In 2020, when the COVID hit the world, we were both in our maternal leave. She just called me and said, "Will you join me on this mission, as I want to continue working on this direction?" The world was in dire need. Everyone from different media, you could hear that the domestic violence cases were growing every day. And she called me and said, "Will you join me on this mission?" And this was a mission that I didn't know much about. I was back then a corporate lawyer, working with different tech startups and IT companies, and violence against women wasn't an issue that I dealt with. But I had at least two motivations back then to join her. First, because it was a journey which I joined with my friend, with a close friend, and this always makes, at least for us, the journey more meaningful and interesting. And the second reason, or this where I mean not a priority of a reason, but as I myself have two daughters, and I wanted to create for them a safer world. So in 2020, we converted from the prototype to an MVP of SafeU and launched it first in Armenia and then in Georgia. And we didn't follow, we decided not to create just a simple safety app for women, but to be more inclusive and to engage all different support services in the field and to bridge those services to the ones who needed them the most. Bringing technology to a field of women's support services, nonprofits, social services, and governments is very, very hard path that we chose. And I would say that in this sense, we were and are actually real trailblazers. And now if I look on the journey that we had for these past 4 years, where we were 4 years ago and where we are right now, this actually inspires me too, because now we are, SafeU is active in 3 continents, over 5 countries, in US, Romania, Georgia, Armenia, and Iraq. It has been recognized as a digital public good, as said by the UN Secretary General. It has reached more than 35,000 real women, and we have addressed more than 15,000 cases. We've provided 88,000 consultations. We are recognized, we are partnering with different UN agencies, governments, and organizations. But most importantly, SafeU has shaped and saved lives. And it goes beyond the simple SafeU help button. This is becoming a real community and change maker, because I want to illustrate this with a story of a woman who didn't have smartphone herself in reality. And her sister learned about us and asked us to step in a very harsh situation. And we stepped in and we were able to call for help. And thankfully, this woman was saved after the police was involved. Now she's not living with the perpetrator anymore. She's safe, and she is one of our very fidel users, I would say. And this story illustrates again the fact that technology is a mean for change. It's not the only tool to be used and to change the world, but it is a strong basis for a bigger movement. And now with every day, more and more people are joining our mission, and we are growing. Our community is growing. And I would like to finish with some thought that the statistics of 1 in 3 women being survivors or experiencing violence throughout their lifetime is unfortunately very inclusive. And it doesn't discriminate. I myself am a survivor of domestic violence. Your loved ones or people you care can be in these statistics too. But the most important thing is to stand tall against violence, save lives, and use all the tools that we have, all the means that we have to fight against violence. Yes. Thank you, and I invite everyone to join us and amplify our voice.
Thank you, Lilit. And really, I invite actually all our speakers on the stage to also join us to continue the discussion, where I want to actually start with a question to you, Lilit, because, you know, obviously, violence is probably, you know, we heard the stories from Trinidad and Kaja, where it's about inspiration and giving tools and equipping females to be you know, more self-sufficient and different things, but everything starts with safety, right? Like we cannot think about progress and development if we don't feel safe to begin with. So it's very interesting to hear from you, because you're now part of, like, you're now operating, you know, also across continents and different countries. Would you say that what is the correlation with domestic violence? Is it economy? Is it education? Is it, have you noticed or have insights about different trends across the globe and in different countries for violence against women?
So, of course, there is this perception that the violence against women is happening mostly among vulnerable communities, among those who don't have education, who lack economic means. But our experience has shown that, of course, vulnerable communities are more vulnerable to violence and to other crisis situations. But as I mentioned, the violence doesn't discriminate. And we have had lots of cases of very wealthy people or very well-educated people who were themselves survivors of violence. And you mentioned very rightly that safety is just the basics. It's a basic right that you need to have safety then to be able to fulfill and thrive. Otherwise, there is no way. I mean, there is a way, but with lots of struggle, with lots of sacrifice, and with some, I don't know, oppression, you can still work and still live. But safety and peace is some basic thing that you need to have in order to be able to live and thrive. Yeah. So to again answer your question, you need, of course, this safety comes, it's first of all physical safety, then economic safety, because we in most of the cases in violent situations, women cannot leave the perpetrator because for multiple subjective reasons, they are dependent on the perpetrator economically. And of course, sometimes economic violence is also happening. So that's why this is one of the most important and key factors to also invest in economic empowerment of women, because this also leads to oppressive relationship if the women is economically dependent on men. And then mental and psychological safety, all of these safety layers and components are very important to be met. in order for a woman to be empowered and to just live the life that they were given, and to make their own choices, to do whatever they want, and to contribute. As I mentioned in my talk, I honestly and truly perceive that women are like pollinating and are driving force of humanity, and this is a true fact. So yes.
Yeah, and you're so right. Like, when you maybe were delivering the talk, I didn't really caught attention on the kind of like that violence is not discriminating. And I was thinking, listening to Trinidad and Kaja, thinking that like, oh my God, in Lithuania, actually we have like, because we don't like, I think that the ratio of men and female is like way towards female. There is no way, but we have to have strong females who are taking care of, positions and education, like attending education and everything. But then, and I was like, yes, actually, like we have such a strong female community in Lithuania. But then, you started talking and I realized that actually we also have a lot of community and violence against female as well, still being really talked about. I don't know, Trinidad, how do you get to deal with safety and violence issues, or what sort and in what ways do you see that Laboratoria addressing it, or maybe not having to address?
Thank you for the question. Yes, I think it made a lot of sense to me when Lilit says about like economic independence, because we have a lot of students that are like single moms, for example, where the father is nowhere to be seen. That's a very common thing in Latin America. So the thing is, as they learn, enter our program and learn in community also, they are finding this safe space. We have the larger community of women in technology in Latin America, and it's really amazing space. Like they are really sharing everything. It's full of like sorority, and they really stand for this economic independency. So now you have like a lot of moms saying like, now I have this work that I can do remotely, and I can take care of my child and also work, and I have like this income that makes me and my family safe. So I think that's one of the ways that we address like violence, but also making technology like a secure space. And I think that happens when you build community, as Lilit said also. When you have this community, it's like a very strong and close encounter. Although these women are like in different countries and everything, you can really feel this closeness and feel the support of each other women. So I think that's one of the ways.
And I would love to connect, this also topic to Kaja, to you, because you are dealing with young population, well, at least, your segment of target users and females that you are trying to empower is, in a completely different age gap versus potentially, Lily's grandmother or, our mothers in general, right? Who might also have experienced more violence because due to lack of knowledge and that economic power. Do you get to experience or witness or hear anything? Like, do you discuss like physical safety and that safety topic within Girls Future Ready?
Yeah, so thank you for mentioning this. I think it's very important to also understand that kind of safety aspect is a crucial, is a base of our life intergenerationally and across all ages. And within our foundation, our programs are targeted, as you said, to girls 14-24, which is quite a vulnerable age, which is the age of puberty, where you're just finding yourself, your self-confidence, etc. All our programs are very much kind of user-based. We're constantly in contact with our beneficiaries, whether through master classes, the Her Story master classes that happen in a very intimate atmosphere of about 30 girls, that they're able to turn their cameras on, turn their mics on, ask questions, and don't feel intimidated by the fact that they're talking to, for example, a CEO or an ambassador of Poland in all these countries around the world. Again, with our Her Story programs, where the girls are able to work one-on-one with mentors who provide that guidance and perhaps that safety. If they have any problems, they have somebody to turn to, either it's us or a mentor they're working with, and they're working on a project that they're very passionate about. And a lot of these projects address issues that the women face. For example, the Girls Organized Conference is about, self-confidence and how to kind of use your potential to build it up even more. Or within the Girls Go Ready program, we offer services from a very professional psychologist that we connect the girls with, the girls who turn to us, or we can discuss with them, and we realize that perhaps they may need that assistance. So it's very much we're very much for the girls we support. So these are some of the aspects how we address that safety, especially kind of also from the mental health side, which is just so important in the current world.
Absolutely. And I love how you touch upon confidence. I think, yes, you kind of like took that as the core lacking element in females, in girls actually going out and being the change that they want to see, being there for themselves, and all of this, right? The lack of confidence from your Kaja perspective, if we continue talking, where do you believe it comes from? Is it small towns? Is it, what do you think, like, what are the key elements that still to this day in this connected world, abundant information online on everything, and self-learning abilities and everything, where does that gap of confidence really comes from?
Yeah, so there are definitely a lot of factors, but I think some of the key ones, for example, like you mentioned, perhaps coming from communities, more vulnerable communities or smaller communities that are not exposed to all these opportunities. Like I mentioned, for example, student campaigns, youth clubs, or local culture, community centers. Communities where girls feel like they are only restricted to a particular set of chores or tasks or jobs that they can then specialize in future. That restricts that kind of open-mindedness. There's much more to the world than that small bubble that I also mentioned, that kind of moving to a bigger city, I got out of, in a sense. The next one is definitely the kind of traditional view or the stigma in society, where girls are usually asked to be a bit more quiet, or to behave, or to sit with their legs very much straight when they're out on public transport, etc. So it's all these intergenerational and this generational kind of sayings and that build up with each generation and with all the girls, and are passed on. And I think it's important to break that cycle and kind of break that status quo that you mentioned at the beginning. So definitely coming from smaller communities, stigma, and also stigma in general around the area, for example, Central Eastern Europe. When we think there are a lot of stereotypes about people coming from Poland because of different kind of cultural understandings of what our culture looks like, or when we come to different cultures and how we contribute to it. But I think even being a woman coming from Poland, especially a young woman, also how Zofia, repeating Zofia's words, being a young woman from Poland, from Central Eastern Europe, is especially maybe challenging in the current times. And we hope to see more female Polish CEOs in the future take on those executive positions in global companies around the world.
Trinidad, what about you? Because then you were sharing that story of, females were attending and really kind of like involved in the tech in 1985, but then kind of like there was a gap. How do you relate that to confidence? What do you, what's the kind of like core that you believe is still missing or creating that gap in Latin America?
Yeah, I think Kaja also made very good points, and also when she was speaking with her presentation, I took some notes, because I think yes, confidence is a really big factor because of like vulnerable situations. When you have had systemic barriers that like push you down constantly, you are losing this confidence. And also I think not seeing women in power, or like having not too many women to look at, for example, diversity, being a Black woman and not see a CEO that is Black, you don't imagine yourself in that position. You lack this confidence or this ideas of like, oh, I can be that woman, I can follow this path. So yes, as I think also in our bootcamp, we talk a lot about something that I think now everybody knows a lot about, that is like the imposter syndrome. And this is constantly happening much more in women, because we are like feeling that we are not good enough, and they are going to realize that I don't know anything. And this is also built by the educational system. As also Kaja said, that we are taught to be quiet and like nobody has to notice you, and a girl speaking loud is like hysterical. So I think it's like a mixture of systemical barriers and like our society, how we are built. And I think it's very inspiring seeing, like, for example, these projects or NGOs that are teaching women and making them feel stronger and empowering them and making them very much self-confident to say like, no, let's stop this, or let's build this, and let's get more women in power to build a better and diverse world.
Thank you, Trinidad. And Lilit, do you see confidence? Do you use confidence? Is it a word that resonates with your community and females that you work with? And kind of like a second maybe part of that question is like, what are the challenges that prevent from building that confidence in more females?
Of course, I can resonate with the word, and of course it has direct links with also the subject that we were discussing earlier, because in many, many aspects, why victims of domestic violence or abusive relationships are not leaving the perpetrator, because they lack confidence, because they have this fear, and they lack of confidence in themselves, because they think that they cannot live without in an open world, let's say, because if the abusive relationship continues for a long time, it's sort of or consistent draining abusive relationship. It also drains the confidence within the victim. So that's why it is a crucial thing to give that power and to give that confidence to everyone, especially females, to believe in themselves, know that they are strong individuals and can live and thrive, do whatever they want, make their own choices, make mistakes, and it's not it's not the end of the world to make mistakes. So yes, the confidence is very much linked to the safety. When you're not safe, you're not confident. When you're confident, you can be strong and stand strong against the perpetrator and say that enough is enough. So these are all some linked things that we are also throughout our work trying to raise awareness, to put this confidence in our beneficiaries, users, or whichever word we use. Yes, so that's very important.
And in terms, I know that we're running out of time, and it's such an interesting topic that I could discuss for ages, but I would really love to hear a couple things, maybe, and I will go again in rounds. First, what are the key challenges that are, and obstacles that are preventing you from growing and as an organization living the full potential? So that's one part. And the other part, on the more positive note, is like, what from your own work and what you're seeing and encountering, what would you wish or advise any female listening to this? And not even talking about tech founders, right? Let's not even focus on the tech or like being a founder or like something like that, but just as a female to female, having gone through your own life journey. So let's start with Lilit, you maybe on the challenges.
Yeah, so the challenge, the general challenge is that we are real trailblazers in this field, and it's extremely difficult to work with all these different customers, let's say, that will use our solution and will make SafeU a workable tool in every context, because in every context we need to work with all these different support services, and this is the main big challenge. But gradually, step by step, we can build trust into technology from these organizations. And what I would advise, I think something that I learned during this past year of my life, which was a bit challenging, is that you need to love yourself first to be able to stand and to thrive. Again, I'm using this word thrive a lot, but to be able to fly and be free and to fulfill any aspirations that you may have, you need to first love yourself. And this may seem a bit trivial, but this is the beginning. If you love yourself, then you'll be able to spread the love and get some love around yourself. Yeah, that's what I would advise all females, all women and girls that are now listening to us.
Love it. Loving yourself makes you thrive, right? It's
Yes.
that confidence that actually empowers and fuels the thriving, which is amazing. Thank you, Lilit. What about you, Kaja? Are there any obstacles and challenges that you're facing in growing your impact and including more females into that self-confidence journey that you're delivering?
Yes, so definitely none of the journeys is without its challenges. So we want to keep all our programs and our, our impact, our work as available to as many girls as possible, for as long as we can. However, with that comes the support that we also require, especially, it's very common, I'm sure for all of you initiatives, the financial support to maintain and sustain our initiatives. For example, the grand prize of our Girls Go Ready program is a fully funded trip to New York City for the girls to finally meet each other in person. And for that, we really welcome any support that we can receive. So that's one of the challenges. The other challenges is, for example, also showing our impact even more to the mentors from the United States and other English-speaking countries, and kind of showing them the value that the program could also have for them, maybe not necessarily from that learning English language, but helping others learn it, learning about other cultures, gaining that global mindset, and perhaps reconnecting with their cultures. We have a lot of girls who have Polish heritage, whose parents, grandparents came from Poland, that are able to reconnect with that culture through chatting with their peers from Poland itself. And the other question was about advice I could give. So a motto that we follow at the Girls Future Ready is educate a girl and she will change the world. And I think my advice to all of us listening here and all of women, let's also help educate each other. So for example, the work that Lilit is doing, Trinidad, Odetta, and all the other female change makers, we can use that work to educate each other, and together we will change the world. We are changing the world.
Amazing. And I love how it rhymes. Educate a girl and she will change the world. That's like perfect.
Exactly.
Trinidad, over to you.
Thank you. I'm going to try to wrap it up because I see that we are near the time. But I think one of the key challenges for us is the rise of AI and the rapid changing that is happening right now into like the labor market, and everything is like really pivoting the market, because nobody really knows what is going to happen with AI. And the one who says that knows, it's completely lying, because nobody really knows. So we need to be like out there and watching this change and pivoting and seeing, okay, this is happening. This is what our students need to learn. So this constantly rapid movement is very challenging. And also, I think reaching women who, because when you are in touch, you don't need to build a career, become a programmer or a designer or a data analysis, but you can really thrive and put your business out there knowing a little bit of technology. So also I think reaching these women who feel that technology may be so hard or maybe too far away, it's also a little bit of a challenge. And what I wish or what I advise, I am very prone to communities. I think these movements that we are like supporting each other's and we are like really wanting each other to thrive. It's amazing. And I think women who are out there wanting to build something, come to your friends, to your community, to your like city community, or search in the internet who you can reach. Because for me, as I was like educated when I was little, women always were like competition. And that has been like changing with the feminist rise and everything. And now I'm very, very sure that we are not competitors. There's space for everybody here. So for me, this is my advice, like reach your peers, reach your partners, reach your community, because you can build amazing things when you meet the right people.
Yeah, I love what you said, because it really rings a bell. Then I first heard a female saying that we don't have enough females on the boards of companies. And let's start by females inviting females, because in many cases, even females choose males, right? So males had their boys clubs and golfing clubs, all of this throughout the whole time, right? So it starts with us really being inclusive and like amplifying and taking example of you and including more females by empowering. But it is also such a good wrap up in the sense that technology, we are all using technology and we are all confident and trusting ourselves and potentially thriving. And that is an element that does add that missing or kind of covers the gap in that on that journey to thrive through confidence and through being part of a community. Thank you so much for being here today. I wish that we had another hour to actually talk and discuss and really have that female circle. Hopefully, I really hope that you also found value of being here together and that you potentially will connect and find ways how to amplify each other's efforts. And I really, really hope that I will see you at the WSA events, either virtually or hopefully physically, very soon somewhere around the world. Thank you a lot, and best of luck for doing what you're doing and amplifying your work further. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.